Hey guys, welcome back once again to my 2012 Halloween Countdown watch list. Today we're going to be talking about another movie, and this movie occurred to me as something I wanted to watch no matter what. This was going to be on my list even before I hadn't seen it. But it actually occurred to me to watch it today mostly because of yesterday's video. I have a similar type of feeling towards this movie that I have towards Nightbreed. And I didn't realize I would until after I'd seen it, of course. But now that I've seen it, it has that Nightbreed kind of feel to it. One of the reasons I say this is because this is another movie that deals with a whole host of different kinds of things going on. A whole bunch of mysterious creatures, if you will. I don't want to get too much more into it without spoiling it, but I should say that this would be a movie that if you watch Nightbreed and you're very curious about everything you saw in there, some of those things for maybe a split second, you would get a similar type of feeling for this movie. It's got that kind of vibe going on. And the movie we're talking about is Cabin in the Woods. Now, originally when I saw the trailers for this, I was very disappointed on how much it appeared to show in the trailers. And then I spent most of my time trying to avoid reviews, trying to avoid trailers. I didn't really want to be spoiled on the movie, and I want to do the same for you guys, so I'm going to try not to spoil anything, but I will say that everything I've said up to this point is basically in the trailers. This is a movie that is self-conscious, I guess you could say. It's got that same kind of feeling that you get from watching like a Scream movie or something like that, where it's very aware of the genre. And then at the same time, this movie here, I wouldn't say is a direct horror movie. I would say it's got lots of elements of horror movies. It's going to appeal to people that enjoy those elements, and it's going to resonate for people that, enjoy those types of things. But that being said, this is a movie that was done partly by Joss Whedon. He was producer and co-writer with Drew Goddard. I kind of have the feeling that I'm going to be biased on this. I'm going to be honest about that. I really love Joss Whedon. He's probably my favorite person working in Hollywood, mostly from the stuff he did in the 90s and early 2000s on television. But I'm a big fan of his work. So I went into this with high expectations, and as far as I'm concerned, it lived up to them, but I also had realistic expectations. So if you're a big horror fan and you're not a fan of Joss Whedon, you may find yourself not necessarily let down, but I would say that you may find yourself with a different set of expectations that you'll never reach watching this. But what I'll tell you is this is a movie about a group of typical teenager, college age. I would say they're probably supposedly going to be like 20 to 21, 22, 23, somewhere in that range. But these kids all kind of going on this trip to the cabin in the woods. And that setup is immediate. It's like the movie hits the ground running, just like I was saying Nightbreed does. Now, what makes this important is when you get there, things are weird. There's a dynamic between all these different, archetypal type characters. And it'll all seem all too familiar. So if you watch a lot of horror movies, slashers, the movies that actually deal with people in that age group and use a cast that does, a typical type horror movie, you're going to recognize these character types. And I just want to say that you got to look past the first and second act, because this movie is all about building towards the third act, in my opinion. And to me, that's what makes this movie unique. It's what makes it fun. It's what made me want to watch it immediately after seeing it the first time, which is the reveal. So I'm not going to get into the reveal. I'm just going to say that this movie is not typical. It's got all the typical vibes because it's setting you up for the reveal. So, that being said, I'm not going to say anything else more. I'll just say if you're a fan of Joss Whedon, you're going to recognize his same type of charm. You're going to see it written into the dialogue. Drew Goddard, he's alumnus from such Joss Whedon creations as Buffy and Angel and things like that. So, he's got that certain type of Whedon-esque writing skill anyway. And I think those two together found a perfect way to bring this to light. And I say bring this to light because this movie actually sat on the shelf for a couple of years. I want to say that they started working on this maybe 3 or 4 years ago. They actually mentioned in this that Chris Hemsworth was selected for the role of Thor in the Thor movie while they were making this. So in other words, that movie, which has been out for a long time on home video, it was still in pre-production. They hadn't even actually cast him as the main character in that film until they were already starting on this movie. So you get an idea of like the kind of time frame. Chris Hemsworth is actually a big time actor now. He's done a lot of movies, and at the time of this, he really hadn't. He was mostly just being discovered. A lot of the stuff that he's got coming out now and coming out in the future was all set up during this, time. So I'd like to say that there's a great cast in this movie. I think you'll enjoy that. It's got a lot of good practical effects. I enjoy that. Not to say that there isn't digital effects. There are digital effects in here when it was absolutely necessary. But each time that you see a digital effect, you're going to see a lot of practical effects side by side with it, and they all look great. This movie doesn't hold back on the special effects, that's for sure. This movie is chock full of craziness. But it's also not trying to be something it's not. So don't go into this thinking, they didn't really hit the mark. Everything that happens in this was intentional. But all in all, I would say Cabin in the Woods is definitely a pick for anybody that's a fan of Joss Whedon. If you went and saw Avengers and you knew what kind of movie you were getting into, and then you were surprised by how well it was written, the pacing, the editing, the writing, that's all Joss Whedon's, that's his bread and butter right there. So if you kind of saw the charm in the Avengers and it was a surprise to you because you had seen the other movies leading up to that and saw something a little bit different about the Avengers, a lot of that can be paid to Joss Whedon because he's kind of known for that. He has this way of editing things and breaking up the tension in odd ways, catching people off guard with his transitions. I think it's amazing what he does. This movie being something he didn't direct himself, but was just there as the producer. It has that earmark on it. But the movie I selected today was for Cabin in the Woods. I definitely say go watch it. Go give it a shot. It's not going to be for everybody. There's going to be a lot of people that won't like it. I love it. I will watch it probably every 6 months to a year for as long as I can imagine, and I would like to see more stuff like this, and I don't foresee a whole lot of stuff like this coming out, but if they would make more movies like this, I would be at the theaters more often, because I loved it. And there's not a lot of tie-in stuff to go along with this, but I did pick up the book, so I'm hoping to get it in the mail pretty soon. But it's the visual guide to this, which sort of like I showed you with the visual guide stuff for Nightbreed, it's got the same kind of, there's a lot of things in this movie you wish you could see for a few more seconds. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to give away too much, but there are moments in this movie where it feels like things are happening too fast, and it makes you want to, rewind, pause, zoom in, that kind of thing. It's one of those types of movies. So that's all I'm saying. Build towards the third act. Let the third act pay off. If you don't enjoy the movie after the third act, it wasn't for you. But if you make it through the first two acts and then the third act really just hits you like a punch in the gut, then this is the kind of movie that was aiming towards your audience. Here we are, halfway through the video. I'd like to switch you guys over to the bonus segment. I knew that this ran a little bit long, so the next segment will be much shorter, and it'll be a lot of fun. So I will see you guys over in the bonus segment. Hey guys, here we are back at the bonus segment. I hope you guys enjoyed Cabin in the Woods. I had a lot of fun watching that, and it kind of reminded me of that whole idea of going camping. And I was thinking to myself, what's something that reminds me of going camping? And this is the thing that probably occurs to a lot of people, it's s'mores. And I was trying to think of a way, like how could you make, a decent kind of s'mores inside your house? You don't really have an open fire. You have a way to traditionally make this kind of snack. And I actually came across this, which is the Stacker Mallows. It's a type of marshmallow that's actually flat. And I'll show you one here, as you can see. And they're designed specifically so people can make s'mores, which I thought was really cool. So, you know what? I'm just going to whip up some instant s'mores right here in the kitchen. So I'm going to go ahead and bring you guys in closer. This is the things I've got here. This is those Stacker Mallows, which are the flat marshmallows. If you can find these are definitely probably the easiest way to go. What we're doing today would be much more difficult with a regular marshmallow. I got some dark chocolate. Feel free to just get whatever kind of chocolate. I got cinnamon graham crackers. Feel free to get good old-fashioned honey graham crackers or whatever, but these are just cinnamon, dark chocolate, and these. Okay, I've got my crackers here. Usually these split like that, and this is what you'll need. Is probably like a 2 like that. And then you get your chocolate bar open like this. I usually will just break like a section like that, a 3. And then you stack your marshmallow like so. And then you get your other cracker here. You just get it kind of on deck. Just lay it there and just get it ready. I'm going to put this in the microwave for 20 seconds. It says that you should do it for 10 seconds, but I want to show you a little trick here. 20 seconds is a lot, so go ahead and watch this. I'll show you how crazy it gets. There it goes. Starts growing like crazy. You're about 8 seconds in. See how that looks like that? Let it kind of drop down again. And what will happen is it'll stay hot. It'll melt your chocolate a little bit, but it will not continue to grow crazy. And I'll go ahead and hit start again and finish with the remaining 11 seconds. I will probably give it about another 5 seconds. See how it looks like that again? Let it shrink down a little bit more. What you're doing is you're continually putting heat on it so that the chocolate will melt, but you're not letting the marshmallow just go out of control. This last 5 seconds, just let it go. Your marshmallow should be pretty gooey, and you just go like that. Wow, look at that, guys. And it's kind of warm. There's the chocolatey part kind of melted in there. And okay, guys, let's go ahead and get the bite here. I made a big mess, but you know, it's s'mores. It's got to make a big mess. That's part of the rules. Alright, guys, I hope you enjoyed the snack today. We made s'mores. Hope you also enjoyed the movie, Cabin in the Woods. Definitely leave me a comment or leave me a video if you have a suggestion for something similar to this, something you can make quick and easy that you normally don't. And then also, if you've got your own way that you can make these that you haven't shown, give me a video response. Or if you find this type of stacker marshmallows, let me know how they turned out. And I will see you guys again tomorrow. Alright, take care. Bye.